Hey guys, welcome back to the Girl Gone London channel. Today I'm doing kind of a vlog and kind of an informational video about a super important test that every expat who wants to become a UK citizen eventually has to take. That test is called the Life in the UK test. I have scheduled mine for tomorrow and I'm starting to study today because that is what I used to do in high school and college. And so I thought, why not cram for another test? I haven't taken a test in a long time. I think the last one would have been my theory test for my driving license, which I think was multiple choice. I'm pretty good at multiple choice, so I'm not too stressed. And I have lived in the UK for almost 10 years now, which I'll explain in a second. Well, I won't explain it, but I'll explain why I'm taking the test now when I've been here for 10 years. And I will kind of go through some practice tests with you. You can do a little bit of studying with me, and then I will take you to the test center tomorrow and hopefully I pass. Otherwise, this will be a very embarrassing video. So the Life in the UK test is 24 multiple choice questions, and they all come from a book called The Life in the UK. And so I've got my notebook, I've got a highlighter, I've got a pencil, and I've actually got most of the text of the book just on my phone. I am going to read the entire book and I'm going to make notes, and then there are lots of practice exam questions that you can take. I've heard that most of the questions are kind of recycled from the same bank of like 300 questions. And so really it's about memorization as opposed to having to like write a long form answer. So that should make it a bit easier because you can kind of pick and choose the answer as opposed to needing to recite all the answers to somebody. But yeah, the Life in the UK test is basically what you have to take before you apply for what's called indefinite leave to remain. And so it is a prerequisite for citizenship, but only because you can only apply for citizenship after you have your indefinite leave to remain, if that makes sense. So a lot of people think that I'm actually taking this citizenship test and then that means that I'll become a citizen, but I first have to apply for my indefinite leave to remain, and then if I get that, I can apply for citizenship if I want to. Indefinite leave to remain only comes after 5 years. The current immigration track is 5 years. For me, I've done that 5 years on a partner visa, starting with an unmarried partner visa with my then boyfriend, and now it's technically a married partner visa because we got married, but the whole time it's been the same partner visa route. You can also do a work visa route. So if you've been in the UK for work, there are other stipulations regarding like ongoing employment, and there's all kinds of financial requirements. I'll do another video about indefinite leave to remain. But the reason that I have been in the UK for almost 10 years, which I can't even believe, but almost 10 years, and I'm only now applying for indefinite leave, is because my first like 4-ish years were actually on visas that didn't count towards the indefinite leave to remain. They were not settlement visas, so they were student visas, multiple short-term student visas. I did a master's in the UK, which was at the time a tier 4 student visa, but again, those aren't settlement visas. So they basically expect you to come and then to go back home for the purposes of immigration. Obviously, there are ways to extend your stay a lot of times to switch into another visa category. But let's say you came as a student doing a master's degree and then you did find a job to sponsor you after you finished, you would then switch into a different visa. And that would then usually start your clock on that 5 years that you need for indefinite leave. So I do feel like I've been here an eternity and I'm just now getting around to this test and to this process, but I'm really ready for it to be done because it has definitely been a stressful 9 to 10 years of visa applications and making sure everything is in order. So like I said, today I am studying for the test and I will go ahead and start studying now. I've got my blanket because it's January in the UK, which means it's cold and wet and gray and gloomy outside. So I've turned on our daylight bulbs to kind of bring some light in here and you can study with me.
How do you feel right now?
How do I feel? Like I have a lot of dates to memorize. It goes from World War II to Alexander Fleming discovering penicillin. There's a lot that happened in the British Empire that I need to know by tomorrow at 11:15. Okay, update. So I've been studying since maybe 9 a.m. and it's about 2 now. I've had some lunch, I think, or had a late breakfast, and I basically read through the entire Life in the UK test book, as well as made notes. My hand really hurts. I haven't taken notes like that in a long time. I am about to take you along with me on some practice tests so you can actually see the questions and see if you might be able to pass. Now, there are 24 questions in the Life in the UK test, and you have to get 17 to pass. So I have found some free practice exams. There's also an app that I've been using that has practice tests. And as I've done some previous practice questions, I can kind of tell they really have all come from the Life in the UK book. So if you're wondering, like, do I need to go visit some castles to study for this? Do I need to watch some British television? That's all great, but I can definitely kind of tell already that that is not going to be useful whatsoever. So really the Life in the UK test book is where it's at. I am going to go ahead and pop this on the screen so you can see what I'm looking at. The time limit has started for me because I set this up a couple minutes ago. It is 45 minutes that you get for your test. So let's start. So we're taking test number 7. As a British citizen, you should, do I just choose one? Respect and obey the law. Yes. Vote in all elections, take part in religious activities. How many do I get to choose? Okay, you should respect and obey the law. Yes. Vote in all elections. You should, but is that on the same should as respect and obey the law? Look after the area in which you live? Yes. Vote in all, I mean, I feel like they're not going to say you should vote in all elections. Yes. When is Halloween? Hello. American over here at 34th of October. The Bill of Rights in 1689 gave women the right to vote. No, it did not. What is the name of the most famous cricket competition? The Ashes. What was the biggest source of employment during the 18th century? Manufacturing. In 1314, the Scottish, led by Robert the Bruce, defeated the English at the Battle of Bannockburn, and Scotland remained unconquered by the English. Robert the Bruce. Like, true? Yes. Which of the following is an example of a criminal offense? It's going to be smoking in public places. Which Scottish clan was killed for not taking the oath? The MacDonalds of Glencoe. I remember reading that. Which 2 issues can the devolved administrations pass laws on? Health and education. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand led to which of the following wars? The First World War. Capital city of Scotland, Edinburgh. In 1833, the Emancipation Act abolished slavery throughout the British Empire. True. What is the name of the process by which many Scottish landlords destroyed individual small farms? That was called the Highland Clearances. The Falkland Islands are a British overseas territory and are part of the United Kingdom. They're not part of the United Kingdom, so false. Which two of the following are Civil War battles? I remember reading this. This one and this one. Yes. What was the name of the activist group who fought for the women's right to vote? Suffragettes. What UK landmark was voted as Britain's favorite view? It was actually the Lake District, which I would highly recommend if you've never been. Who were the first people to live in Britain in what we call the Stone Age? Hunter-gatherer pirates. No. The first people to live in Britain were hunter-gatherers, so I'm assuming that that was called the Stone Age. What is the name of the movement against the authority of the Pope and the ideas of the Catholic Church? That was called the Reformation. What do you need to apply for a national insurance number? What do you need to do to apply? Contact the DWP. Which of the following is a major horse racing event? Royal Ascot. How many members form a jury in Scotland? Pretty sure it's 12 in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, and 15 in Scotland. Yes. What is known as Lent, the 40 days before Easter? When was the last successful foreign invasion of England? 1066. Okay. So, based on these practice tests, I'm feeling very confident about tomorrow, but also I'm not feeling confident because I feel like it's just spitting out the same questions at me, and there's a lot in that book, so hopefully what comes out tomorrow is similar to these practice tests and doesn't come out with like 24 questions about the 24 topics that I don't remember. I am going to go ahead and continue studying for the rest of the day, off and on. I'm not going to go too crazy because I find that often when it comes to tests for me, like it's usually better to just follow my gut, and at a certain point, like no amount of studying is going to help me. So I will see you tomorrow on the way to the exam. Okay, so I'm on the way to the test. My lovely chauffeur, aka my husband, is driving me. I am taking my test in the Oxford Center. I think there are like 30 different places you can take the test based on where you're closest to at the time. You also can take the test over and over again if you fail, but it is 50 pounds each time, so I'm definitely gonna pass for the sake of not wanting to pay 50 pounds again. I did a little bit more studying yesterday, but not a ton. I kind of got to a point where I thought I probably wasn't going to learn anything new, and there are still some of the dates and like the kings and queens that I'm not 100% sure about, but I was doing well in the practice test, so I figure even if I miss kind of a specific date one, it should be fine. So I'll give you a little bit of a view of this gorgeous January day that is really making me question why I'm taking this test to live in the UK full time. You'll see what I mean. And then I can't take anything into the test center besides my ID. Like, no, I'm not going to take my phone or anything. And so I will not see you until after I finish my test. So hopefully the next time I'm on screen, I have good news. So enjoy this little bit of our journey, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, actually, I haven't taken my test yet, but I wanted to interject and say that the footage you just saw that looked like we were passing a lake or a river was actually just fields that are completely flooded. So I'll try and show you some more. like in January, that is it. Okay, now I will actually see you when I'm done. Okay, so I just got finished and I actually had to wait for my test results to be emailed to me. I think they used to give you a piece of paper, but we are in different times now, which is also why my face has gotten super red because I've been wearing a really intense mask while I was in the testing center. But I passed. So my email just said pass. It didn't tell me how many I got right or wrong. I'm pretty sure I did pretty well. I didn't really not know any of them. Thank God I didn't get any particular date ones that I was worried about before. And all of the questions really did come exactly from the Life in the UK test study book, as well as the website that I used that you saw me take a practice test on. So that is a sigh of relief. I never have to take it again. Once you pass, you've basically passed for life, so you can take it whenever you want to in the run-up to getting your indefinite leave. I'm taking it a bit closer to when I needed it just because I was a little bit lazy, but I have passed, I am done, and that is my Life in the UK test experience. It didn't take me, you have 45 minutes. It only took me a couple of minutes, but I am typically someone who is not really anxious about testing, and I just kind of was confident when I chose the answer and moved on. But you do have 45 minutes to use if you are not confident in testing or do really want to take your time. If you have any questions about my experience or what was on the test or how to prepare, definitely leave them below. If you want more information and vlogs and videos about life in the UK as an expat, if you subscribe, then you'll be notified when new videos come out, and otherwise I'll see you guys next time.